Hi everyone, welcome back to Trekyards. I'm Captain Foley.
I'm Quanah Coggins. Good morning, everyone. Whenever you watch this, it won't be morning probably. But we're back. Stuart, they released 2 darn shorts and 2 trailers in like 8 days. That's interesting marketing.
It was good to see though. Yeah, we've already covered other ones. So check out those videos. But today we're covering the last of the ones we're looking at. And that is the Discovery short, The Trouble with Edward.
I can call it Season 2.5, Episode 2. That's how I name them on my drives, because it's that. And I'll say, straight off the bat, this is definitely takes place after Discovery Season 2, because the Enterprise is a new uniform at the start of Discovery Season 2, and only on the Enterprise, and yet this other ship wears the Enterprise uniform, but a new version without the collars, so sort of, anyway. So this is probably a post-Discovery short.
This was a fun episode. I really, really enjoyed it. I'm a huge fan of Archer, yeah. Plus, the lady from Alita Battle Angels in this, and this was just fun. It was a fun. I really enjoyed this one. It felt very animated series or TOS for me.
I went and watched Trials and Tribbles straight after this to actually listen to the scenes, and if you realise that whoever wrote this didn't actually watch the Trials and Tribbles episode and this doesn't fit into canon. It literally can't. But if you understand that going in, doesn't fit Tribble canon, I love this one to bits. It's probably my favourite bit of Discovery content made so far.
Now, why do you say that? What makes you say that specifically?
First of all, Kirk, Bones and Spock didn't know what they were, had no understanding, and it wasn't in the computer, even though this would be in the computer. It's like this was an interesting enough occurrence that I think people would hear about it. Like, you don't have to hear about everything going on the Federation, but this is bloody interesting. People would say, did you hear about the time on that one ship, little balls of fur destroyed a ship and destroyed an entire planet? I mean, that's a story you'd remember.
It's probably one of those instances where, because of the incidents that happened, Starfleet was like, all right, guys, yeah, try to just keep this to yourselves, to the scientists that were on the ship, because it makes Starfleet look bad.
But the amount of propagation of the Tribbles wouldn't allow it to be kept a secret. The fact they say at the end of the short they've already got to Klingon space, which we knew was going to happen, is like, wow, that didn't take long. And Spock also talks about their native world. Well, they're predators that keep them under wraps, but they weren't native. They didn't have a native world with replication. Their native world they didn't replicate. They didn't have predators that did that. And basically, this backstory doesn't link. And while they could have been lying the entire time in terms of like, in the future they expunged all records. That's like really to make a Discovery short work. We have to say they expunged another set of records, just like with Discovery herself. Like, that's really lazy storytelling to say yes, but they all forgot about it in the end. But it doesn't affect the quality of the short.
Bit of a stretch for me personally, but I really enjoyed it.
Well, yeah, like I say, this is like a 9 out of 10, 9.5 maybe. This is like the best Discovery thing they've ever made, I think.
Yeah. Well, it was a smaller science vessel, so really the scientists on board would know, the command crew or the admirals would know that, disciplined her. So it just depends on how many people they told. I really don't have an issue with that personally.
I mean, put it this way, the Tribbles scans would be in the database on the Connie in 5 years, just in case something happens again. And the fact that he didn't have any data, he had to do physical scans, and you know what I mean. And also Spock says I see no practical use for them, even though the time point of this was to make them be edible. And with human DNA, Bones didn't say to Spock, they got human DNA, and our records say it was a guy named Edward. But again, it was written in the 60s versus now. But I don't think the guy literally watched TOS episode. I think he probably watched like the DS9 one or something. And I told you, Stuart, that I was going with high expectations, and it's not often they go beyond them. So what did you like most about this one then?
The opening scene, honestly. The planet. Enterprise warps in, and we get the science vessel. And then apparently warping in a system is now no longer an issue, because they just warp in right into a planet orbit and they'll warp right out. It's like, okay, well, and in TOS they slowly approached the planet, they got into orbit, and then when the mission was over, they impulsed away, because you're not supposed to warp within a solar system. It's dangerous.
Well, that's Discovery's remit, is to not care.
Yeah, exactly.
These aren't for Star Trek fans. These are for average people. We know that.
But it was still really enjoyable seeing that scene of the
wasn't it weird? Did this episode not feel incredibly more high budget than the last one?
Yeah, absolutely it did.
I mean, this ticked all of the bits in terms of what it needed and what it had. It's like, yeah, 2 VFX shots, or well, 3 are enough. It's great. I was amazed how much more budget they seemed to have. I guess maybe Ethan and the other people would to like the cast, because the lady from X-Men, you know, she can charge quite a lot. That probably took up most of the budget to get those 2. Whereas this one, maybe Archer was like, oh, screw it, I can take a third of my pay cut. That's fine. Because this felt like such more money was put into this, and it really feels like an episode of Star Trek in comparison.
Yeah, and to get I forget the actress's name, but from Alita Battle Angel,
Rosa Salazar,
and also Archer. Yeah, that's where a lot of the money from this one would have gone, I would imagine. So,
but I bet you they both were just fans of Star Trek and said, "Sure, I'll do it. Oh, I can't pay you full rate. I'll take base rate." Like, it feels that sort of passion thing, because it's also a triple episode. Like, it's a fun one to be on, and this was like a week shoot. It's an easy one to shoot, if that. But value for the bucks quite a lot.
And we were right when we saw the early trailer for these, where they careful they'll eat you alive, and we said it's just because she's going over to a new ship and he's giving her advice about the crew if they're showing sign of weakness. So we called that very early on. Everybody's like, "Oh, the Tribbles don't eat people." No, they don't, and they never said that they did. Just it's clever editing to make it seem more menacing, I guess.
Yeah.
So called that.
And these did end up being murderous. And we've never. I mean, this is Tribbles to a way we've never seen before. They legitimately destroyed a ship, and you felt it. And that end shot. I mean, the space shots are really good in this one. Seeing the windows and having it be such a small ship. You know, smaller ships kind of help sometimes for scaling and for sense of feel and no, it was great. I mean, obviously we want to save some stuff to talk about in the full review.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, what did you think then when they basically gave you the full backstory of the Tribbles and then made it be human interference that made them the plague that they are?
I knew that was coming when they first announced this was going to be a short. That either humans invented the Tribble, which I would have totally been annoyed with, but this I didn't really have much of an issue with. I love how he's like, you know, they breed very, very slowly. So, and they're a good meat source. When you shave them, they're like a blood red, like a scallop. You ate some?
I was kind of hoping, because the way we see the Tribbles in this is way more aggressive than any other Tribble episode. Again, I went back and watched TOS, and they were on the Enterprise for 3 days, and the ship wasn't overrun, nor were they that concerned beyond the annoyance. Whereas this, it was clearly like the same day or 2 days, with less food to eat because it's a smaller ship, and yet they managed to destroy the entire ship. So I'm guessing this is like first gen, where they over genetically engineered. I wish they kind of addressed that. Like, I kind of wish they all got destroyed except one, and he was like a defunct one, so he didn't breed as fast. I don't know. Felt too quick in comparison to everything else.
Yeah, well, I just chalked that up to maybe they have done other modifications to them over the years. Maybe. I doubt that very much. Or, yeah, genetic changes for each generation. It just gets a little bit less prolific. True. A little less prolific. So. Well,
Spock said it's a generation every 3 days, or generation every day, and they can have 10 Tribbles per one Tribble. I didn't quite like the comedic popping out.
Well, I was just gonna address that. That's very much Gremlins. That's Gizmo from the Gremlins when he gets water on him, and the same sound effects, same, you know. Yeah, it was a little bit silly, but so was the music in this one. Everything about this was just kind of a comedy.
It's good music though.
Yeah, good comedy, just loose, you know, just enjoy kind of vibe. So
with a good script. It's actually quite a tight. This had more drafts. You can really tell. Like, I love the bit in the captain's quarters saying the conversation has ended. That's a stupid gag, but for me that really worked. The acting was good and the people were good, and you know, yeah, this was a better written script by a long way. For me, anyway.
Yep. And we do see a number of different uniforms. We've got just regular. Well, not T-shirts, but they're long-sleeved, regular collar. We got the other more scientific, I guess the scientists. These are the ones that the scientists wear, not the command crew, with the standard collar, and then we've got the asymmetrical collar as well. So, and also they're all wearing Enterprise deltas. They're not the same as Discoveries. They're actually the exact same as Pikes. not a big deal because
I
they
mean,
have the beveled edge and they're more sharp than the Discovery ones.
I mean, it's so perfect though that they're I mean, these uniforms look better. They do without the stupid collar, and having them now be everywhere else is what we wanted from day one. So glad they finally go into that. And obviously they kind of made new costumes for the new crew, and they were like, well, there's money to spend, we'll just do it properly, and then they reuse background extra costumes for everyone else. I also I did question because of how young she looks, the fact that she went captain, especially as when Pike says our young science officer, doesn't quite equate to she became a captain because he's not terribly old. But if you assume she's the same age as she is in reality, then she's 34 in this, and Kirk was 32 when he got command. So assumption there, she can, because Kirk was the youngest person to make captain ever, so you can't have her be younger than Kirk. That's another canon break. But assuming she's that, then it's just enough. And obviously giving her the diddliest ship in the fleet.
I did enjoy seeing the labs and stuff. I think they were really well done. Again, if you can just consider this not Prime and just Discoverse, this is absolutely great. It was really fun. And I do like the fact that, the inclusion of human DNA was kind of confusing, but at the same time, it's like, whose DNA did you use? Well, I used mine. And it's like, oh, that's why the triples are so stupid later. I love how he's like, I can just genetically breed them to have brain damage as a solution. And it's like, well, no, your DNA will do that. Don't worry.
Which is weird because he is smart, so I don't
Yes.
I don't quite he's not self-aware. I mean, he's obviously Asperger's or on the spectrum.
Yeah,
obviously, and so I wouldn't call him dumb by any means.
No, he's an idiot though.
Well, yeah, that's a great end line. I think that was very well done. Yeah, although it did still strike me odd. I mean, at no point in any of the Treble episodes were they to be eaten. That was out of left field. So to have that be the entire focus, we can eat them, is like, really? Because when Uhura is like, just like, oh, it's so soft, but no one ever says, yeah, we can eat them. Even though, like I say, it would be a known infestation, especially if they went to Cleon Empire and diplomatic incident. I mean, the context, I would never have thought to eat the Tribbles.
Well,
that
was
to me.
stated. That was stated like early in this one where he says, you're going to be helping a. Well, I don't think they were ever intended to be that by Starfleet either. That's why when they asked what he was working on, because before she went over, Pike said a civilization on the brink of starvation, on the edge of Federation space, and Starfleet wants you to intervene on their behalf without the Klingons ever knowing. So they were looking at climatology, oceanography, biology, and he's like, we can eat them. And they're all like, huh? So it was just his idea for the eating of them. So
This is true. Redresses are difficult, and I think this one gets very well with the redress set vibe because it is a different ship and they film it a slightly different way. But when he injects the Tribbles, this makes me laugh because that's just the corridor. His lab is the corridor. I know it's a smaller ship, but the NX-1 was even smaller than this, and they had labs. So it's funny, and they did a good job to almost get the edges of the corridor. But it's like, we know those sets. That's just the tech bit that once Shazad Latif Bok was like fixing a thing. It's like, that's just the corridor. It's like, I can see the corridor.
It's a science ship. You're supposed to have labs in case there is, a containment breach like there was in this one. That's confined to one lab, not a hallway or a
two
corridor.
labs and one corridor. This one straddles a line of money to quality. I think it does it very well. And just the fact that it's got the new costumes, the good actors, the very good actors, and the CG, the space stuff really brings us to a point of a real episode,
Yeah, there was. I don't know. I really enjoyed this one. I know a lot of people are going to be shit for that, but I really don't care.
But I want to see what people say bad about it. Beyond that it doesn't work in canon, but Discovery doesn't in general. But what can you overly complain about it? And I'd love to hear that in the live because I'm like, oh, I loved it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, good. It was just pleasurable to watch. I didn't have to think about anything. Yeah, I already acknowledged that. Well, when I watched initially, that canon's already out the window.
Yeah.
But then when we do our analysis,
I mean, did you see the Enterprise?
We have to mention things like that, right?
Yeah.
Well, clearly the Discovery versus I keep calling it.
Yes. But. Okay, question: is this better than Calypso?
Different than Calypso.
But if you had to rate one over the other, enjoyment factor.
This one is better. I think
I would agree.
It's funner to watch.
It's actual
Plus,
Star Trek as well.
Yeah, get some nice space shots. You get some Pike. You get an attractive lady to look at. You get a funny story. You get characters or like actors that you know. Yeah,
uniforms.
Yeah.
Why can't we get space CGI like this all the time? Although lots of lens flares in the space CG, which was very unneeded. Too many lens flare. Yeah, I think this is the best short they've made so far by a good chunk.
This would have been fun to have been a full episode if they did a Pike series. And it made me wonder at the end too how Pike would have handled this situation, or Edward. Did her lack of command training kind of show there with the way she dealt with him? Because she tried to, nope, conversation's over. How would Pike have dealt with this, and would the same thing have happened? Yes,
I think so, because once he did the Tribble, these Tribbles are clear more than any other Tribble's ever been, and that's clear because no other ship's been destroyed like this. These are like first gen. I love the idea that as they breed, they get less and less virile, which makes sense. I mean, hundreds of generations, if you can breed every couple of days a generation, that is fun, actually. So give it 5 years, they're a lot less menacing. Obviously, the Klingons had the Tribble War, so they're less vicious. As soon as you get like 2 on a ship, you can destroy the entire ship in a while. So as soon as they were loose, Pike could have done nothing different to stop them, except the ship would have been bigger and taken more time. Really, I think no, she did everything she could have.
Okay. Yeah, because it would have been interesting to see how somebody more experienced would have dealt with the situation. Yeah, it's a fun episode, and it definitely adds to the Tribble lore. I love, because we got Trouble with Tribbles. We've got
Trials and
no. I'm going to say the animated series one. More Tribbles, more Troubles. Then Trials and Tribulations, and now this one.
And Into Darkness.
What's that?
Into Darkness.
Oh, that doesn't count.
But that explains why Khan's blood could heal it, because it's half human DNA, which actually does actually connect.
Ooh.
That's annoying.
Yeah, but yeah, it's a fun addition to the Tribble mini series.
Does make sense in canon, but that's okay. That's fine. Neither does a Turbo Lift. I mean, from last week, this week. Yeah. Good job.
Yeah, good job.
And join us tonight at 10 p.m. GMT, 5 p.m. Eastern for our full review live. We're going through each scene and be intrigued to see what you guys think.
Absolutely. So, in the meantime, like the video, subscribe to the channel, do all that stuff.
And Patreon if you can, support us weekly, monthly. Well, I guess if you think of yourself as giving $10, it's a certain amount per week, so that makes sense. But yeah, support if you can. Join our lives every single week. We have a lot of fun. You guys have a lot of fun, and then they're good to have there. And of course our ship review videos, and of course our looks at Discovery and Orville and Picard and Lower Decks. It's all good.
That's right. So until next time, guys, I'm Captain Foley.
I'm Connor Combs. Bye, guys.
Stay out of trouble, everyone.